Good morning, folks. It's Bob out here at Sorrento Hill. Pardon the frogginess in my voice. I think it's allergy stuff again. At any rate, I told you that I'd show you what I'm doing. I'm getting ready to hang this medicine cabinet, and so in order to do that, oops, almost knocked my driver over. In order to do that, they say it's a two-person lift because this thing is. It's about 30 inches wide by 25 and a quarter, 25 and a quarter high. And it's a two-person deal. That means one person has to hold it up, say, okay, hold it level, while the other person's drilling screws in. And that's just crazy. That's just crazy. So I'm not doing it that way. You know me, I don't do things normal, I guess. So what I've done is I figured out by the height of it where I need the bottom to be in order for the doors on the medicine cabinet to clear this sink. That's one of the things you have to consider, you know, because if I put it the optimal level where the center of it would be right at the center of my wife's eyes, it would actually be down just low enough that the door would want to hit here. And I don't want that to happen. So I found where that point is. I measured up my 24 and a quarter so I know how high the top is. And then I measure how far it is from the top of the vanity to my line here. And I made me this little jig. This is out of scrap 2x4. I got a couple pieces to rest on the top surface, a couple uprights. The total height is 14 3/4 inches. So I've got two 1.5 inch thick pieces and two 11 3/4. I made it wide enough so that it'll fit, and then it will sit right there. And I will probably have to, because my wall's not even, I'll end up having to shim out, you know, put me a piece right in here to support the back, because this is one of my first walls and it's not perfectly even. I got better as I went along, figured out some tricks and learned some things from the Cordwood Construction website on Facebook. If you're thinking about doing a Cordwood home, go on Facebook, join the Cordwood Construction Facebook group. The guy who's the administrator is the one who literally wrote the book on best cordwood practices. And I've learned a lot of good stuff there. So anyway, so now I've got this in place. And of course I forgot my shims. I always forget something. To make sure it's level. So I got my level. Let me go get my shims. Now what I'll do is I've got a board here that I'm going to use as my backer that this will screw to, so I have an even surface. If I need to, I can adjust it in or out so this sits flat. So now what I need to do is find the center of it, which is 28 3/4. So that would be 14 3/8. That's a handy trick when you're trying to figure out, let's say if you're dividing something in half, they make some neat centering rules and all that. But one of the things you can do to figure out the center, like this was 28 3/4, okay? Well, 28 dividing, that's easy, but the 3/4, like, oh, what is it? Well, if you want to divide by half, if you want to divide it in half, all you got to do is multiply the denominator by 2. So half of 3/4 is 3/8. So just a little trick that I use. And then I'll go up here and see what my distance is. And this is 59 3/4. So that's 25. Okay, I'm happier with that center point. And I've got the center point on this marked. You know, I got a Milwaukee tape measure that I really like. The end of it's messed up a little. And I bought this was it Camelon, whatever contractor version. It's supposed to be really good, and I just don't like it as much as my Milwaukee. I'm gonna have to buy me another Milwaukee. You know, we get our favorite tools. Okay. I find it easier if I'm gonna screw something in. Go ahead and start my screws. That way I'm not trying to hold it in place and get a screw in. Whew. It's not hot in here, but if I get working, I get sweating. Okay. So I got my center line marked up, my top line marked up. I'll take my level and put on there. And get that level. And then I'll drive my screws home. The reason I'm backing that out is because I need to put me a shim back there because my wall isn't perfectly flat. And I'm going to actually cheat a little. I got my Sawzall. I got a knot sticking out here. This is something you wouldn't do in a normal house. This is one of the challenges with cordwood is sometimes is getting things nice and flat and straight. There we go. I like that better. All right. Put my level back up there. Now I'm going to put a couple more screws in here to hold this. Put a couple more in here to hold this, and then these will be going through the ledger board, through this, into the logs and into the cement of the mortar. So I won't have to worry about it. I won't have to worry about it going anywhere, that's for sure. All right, now I get that up. Time to set this in place and then get it level. And that's a whole lot easier Yeah. I think you'll have to agree, that's a whole lot easier than trying to have someone hold it. And then what I can do is I'll put my level on here. And I am so close to level. Yeah, I stuck a shim just to part way in, and I'm level. And then I made this ledger board the same width, and then it's centered, so now this is centered. So I'll just drive home some screws. Believe it or not, this is actually how the instructions say to mount it, is through this board at the top. That's especially what it's for. And then I'll measure the distance back here and put me a couple shim boards back to brace it down at the bottom so it doesn't wiggle, and put the doors on it. But it's level. It's almost level front to back. Come out just a little bit. And then I slide my shim out. Slide my stand out. Boom. There you go. Medicine cabinet mounted, one person. I didn't have to have someone try to hold it while I was up there screwing it and then trying to make sure it was level and all that. And so there you go. Now I noticed this is a little off center, but this will be centered on the faucet because the doors are, one's bigger and one's smaller. So now it's put on the doors and put in the shelves and bring the vacuum in and vacuum up my mess, and boom, we got a medicine cabinet. So when you're doing something by yourself, sometimes you have to be a little creative. But I found this is a really good way to do things like this because then it's more secure. You're not handling weight that's off balance and can hurt your back, and you're less likely to drop it. You saw how easy and secure that was. Just boom, set it up there. Easy to work with a shim to get it level. And then boom, there you go. All right, so that's how you do things by yourself. just some measurement and some finagling. Now I've got some old pieces of wood. I put this together with screws. I'll pull the screws out, save them to use in something else. And then these scraps, they'll end up being used for some other project. I'll need something to brace or shim somewhere, and they'll come in handy. In fact, one of them, I will maybe use back here. There you go. I may end up putting one of them back here. Yeah, I need just a little bit more thickness. Again, with these cordwood wall, with this wall not being exactly straight, what I'm going to have to do is back here behind this corner, I'm going to have to measure and put me a little brace, and I'll do the same back here, and that way it's more secure. It doesn't want to move. If you're on a drywall, it's a whole lot easier because the bottom will be resting more flat against the wall. But on a natural building like this type of construction, it's not perfectly flat, so you might have to shim it a little bit. And again, this is the only place up here, this top ledger board is the only place that it's got for mounting. So that's where all the weight hangs. Even if you put it on a drywall, that's the only place you'd have screws in, according to the manufacturer, to mount it. And of course, this back is just a thin 1/4 inch piece of basically masonite with some vinyl veneer over it. This isn't a real high dollar one, but it's one that she liked. So, and it looks pretty decent. So this won't support any weight at all. It'll just be to keep it from wanting to wiggle as you're taking things in and out. All right, so let me do that. Inch 7/8. So I need 1 inch and 7/8. So what I think I'll do is just rip this down to 1 inch and 7/8 and put it back behind there. Shoot a couple screws in through the wood into the back, and then this won't wiggle. And over here, I need about 3/4 of an inch. So I just use a piece of, I got some scrap plywood. I'll put a piece of plywood back in here and shoot a screw through that, and that'll anchor that so it won't wiggle on me. All right, let me go do that. To be fair, I knew I was going to have to put at least something back behind here because I've got a 3/4 inch board across the top that stands it out away from the wall. So I knew I was going to have to put something in there. And see, I already used a piece of the scrap because I cut one of the feet off to cut down to use for my piece over here. And then slide that back in there. It's already more secure. And I've got my 3/4 inch there, and then I'll put it. This one here has to be a little bigger. So I needed 1 inch and 7/8 here. just like these Phillips screws. And I'm going to go ahead and there you go. Now, it's solid. It doesn't budge, it doesn't move any. So, now I can get my screwdriver, Phillips head screwdriver, and put the doors on it, and then put the shelves in, and we got a medicine cabinet. All right. So there you go. Hope you got something out of that, other than my bloopers. And don't be afraid to get out there and do something you haven't done before. This really wasn't that hard. And especially when I get those mirrored doors put on here, it's gonna look pretty good. So I won't be shaving blind in the morning. So that'll be kind of neat too. All right, this is Bob at Serenity Hill. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you got something out of that. Don't be afraid to get out there and do something you've never done before. Try something, and you know, just use a little imagination, and you can make some things happen for yourself. We'll see you on the next one. Bye now.